What's up, everybody? This is the Otterline Report. I am your host, Chris. Today we are going over results from yesterday, headlines and picks across the NHL and NBA. I'm pretty excited for today because yesterday was spicy. We love to see it. Okay, so what do I mean by spicy, you may ask? Well, if you can see here, yesterday we got four picks and four green boxes. So we went 4 for 4 yesterday, which you absolutely love to see. It's been kind of up and down the last week and a half, kind of trying to find our way. And we found it last night. So we're really hoping that we can keep those good vibes going. Now, yesterday, Devils trade Palat to the Islanders. And if I'm not mistaken, he scored right away for the Islanders, which is crazy. That's actually a fairly big trade. And Kane Tasmadano for US born NHL points mark. So that's also pretty cool. So yesterday in the NBA, picks went 5 wins, 4 losses. Now, luckily, we picked 3 of the winners. So you love to see that. It's all about the filters. And then hockey went 2 for 1. Now, Ottawa dummied Colorado, which is pretty crazy. Now, the Otterline is actually made up of 4 different models, and then we pull the consensus and track the relationships between each one. But the Otterline, we do have our own proprietary AI that produces picks, and it actually had Ottawa yesterday, which is pretty cool to see. So most models all leaned Colorado, but that one did go Ottawa, which was cool to see. And Ottawa did win that game. Now, our final pick at the end of the day is we do go off consensus. So the other models pulled us towards a Colorado victory, which you would think would happen. Didn't. Ottawa wins 5-2. Columbus beats Philadelphia Flyers 5-3, and the Islanders beat Rangers 5-2. So all the winning teams last night got 5 goals, which is rather interesting. So in the NBA, 5 wins, 4 losses. We got lucky in a sense, and even though there was 4 losses, none of those 4 were the plays that we picked. And one of them, I believe, I want to say it was the Knicks. I can't exactly remember. One of these teams was a decent sized underdog. So we were able to pick that successfully last night. It was the Toronto game, the Knicks. At the end of the second or halfway through the first or whatever it was, they were down by a decent amount. And I was getting a little worried, but they came back with a vengeance and they tied it up and took the lead and they went for it. So that was cool to see. So a big win there. And Chicago just barely loses to Indiana. Super close, 110 to 113. So it's been kind of cool paying attention to basketball. Never really did before this. I don't have a favorite team, but I'm enjoying making the plays and studying the data and all the things like that. So yesterday, very successful night. We went 4-0 on our picks. Columbus, Knicks, Charlotte and Cleveland. So they all won. Now today, big slate in the NHL. There's a lot of games tonight in the NHL, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8 games in the NBA. So we got to filter that down. But it's going to be a big card. It's going to be a big card. So we have, you can see here, quite a few picks. Let's go down to here. So I have 4 NHL picks today and 3 NBA. And we're taking Minnesota tonight for just a half unit. So you got to pay attention. Now, they're like a heavy underdog. So anytime there's a heavy underdog like that, I just go half unit. So that's what I did there. But we'll go over those here in a moment. So today's NHL card is. So here's the thing with the NHL. It's very noisy. It's very hard to get an edge in the NHL because a game is decided by the most silly little things. Refs, goalies, an off night, like all these different little factors that you wouldn't suspect can really dictate it. So it's like you really got to be disciplined and strict. I was kind of just diving into. I love data. If you haven't been able to, I love data. Data guy. So I made these charts. Let me just refresh this. It should show up. There it is. Oop. Now you can't see it so good here, but if you go to the outterline.club/performance at the bottom, if you're a premium member, you can see these charts. So The top one is NHL, bottom one is NBA. So what you can see about this chart, this is a weekly chart. It's a line graph if you're on podcast. And what it shows is the consensus win record weekly. And the middle of the chart is 50%. And NBA has been consistently above 50%. To start things off, we were 53% one week, 52, then 61, then 61, then 56. And then the week of this week, we're like 74%, which is kind of bonkers. That should come down a bit. But as I add additional models onto this chart, you can see that they all are just slightly underperforming the model for the most part. There's going to be times, like there was one week where Dunkel had actually outperformed it, and one week that CBS outperformed it. But in general, the consensus is outperforming each individual model, which is what you want to see. Like it's less volatile. Like when the other ones go down, it doesn't go down as much. So it's kind of like the consensus in NBA has worked really, really well. The reason I'm bringing all this up is NHL is noisy and it's difficult. So in the NHL, the consensus picks often actually outperform or underperform. The consensus picks actually underperform models a lot of the time. Like if we look at the Otterline, our in-house prediction system, there's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So of like 6 or 7 weeks, it's outperformed it the majority of time. We have a different model here called the Chatty line. Chatty outperformed it 1, 2, and then on par for 3, so pretty close. MP outperformed it every week and continues to, except this week. And then CBS, similar kind of story. And Dunkel, which we removed, has just kind of always been bad for hockey. Their system doesn't work well for hockey. It's been evident that is true. So its consensus has kind of underperformed, right? Which is not good when you have a consensus model, right? So this is something that I noticed a little while back. And how did we combat this? Because the model wins, like we're winning. So how do we do that? Well, that's where your filters become so important. Power plays. So let me take off all these other models. Now, December 22nd, it says 0% because the data is missing for that week for whatever reason. It's just not there. But you can pretty much guarantee that it outperformed the consensus and all the models. So on this chart, this yellow line, if you just put this one outlier above it, you would easily see that power plays, which is our NHL featured picks, outperformed all models and consensus by a lot. Like this week, they're at like 77%. Last week, they were at 56%, while consensus was at 47%. Power play 69%, while consensus was at 66%. And one of the other models was at like 50%. And the very first week, they were at 80%, while the consensus was at 50%. Now, the consensus is making a lot more plays. So the larger the sample size, those win rates will come down. But power play is consistently outperforming the models. So what this means is in NHL, models need filters, I feel, unless you have something that's really extraordinary, because there's just so many games, so many variables. You kind of got to narrow it down. And if there's nights where there's just no good signals or good picks, a good NHL model, in my opinion, will relate that. Like yesterday, 3 games, we did 1 pick. So basically, like these filters we put on top of the consensus are what make the model awesome, honestly. Now, NBA doesn't necessarily work that way. NBA, the consensus, just straight up consensus strategy works really well. And I'll add our verified value on this, and that's going to be even higher. So when you add a really nice filter on top, already strong signal, I think you get a really nice result. So NBA so far has been awesome. I'm really hoping this continues. The data is looking good. Hockey's super noisy, but we're winning because we're having strict filters and keeping a pulse on it. It's not something you can just sit and forget with hockey. It's always going to be evolving as things change in the league. But it's been good. I'm not sure where we were, but let's get to today's picks. Okay, let's go over today's picks. So, picks for today. So this is where our filters come into play. Example, diamond picks. So power plays. There's a lot. This is unusual, but it just kind of worked out that there's a lot of signals today. If you just want the kind of the best value, that's where we're looking at diamond picks. So there's only 3. So those would be decent picks. Win rate 61%, power play 63% ratio. Or you can just go down. If you're a premium member, you have all this data. If you just want to follow me, so I'm going on Juice, verified Juice. So Juice is like the percent of your edge. So if the market, and when I say the market, I mean like Poly Market or Vegas. Basically, when Vegas sets the market prices for each game. When Vegas is saying Colorado has a 55% chance to win this game, but our data says it's more like 66. That's our confidence. So they're saying 55. We're saying there's just got 65. There's like a 10% edge there. That's like the juice. So 10% juice in our favor. Those are the picks that I'm taking. So verified juice right here, brand new widget. I've just been like scratching my head with formulas, trying to figure out exactly how to make my picks every day, because I used to do just 3, but I was leaving a lot of good stuff on the table and cherry picking, which actually negatively affected my performance. So I think verified juice is a good way to go. So it's where we have at least a 10% edge on the market. That's the picks I'm taking, which today's Detroit, Vegas, Buffalo, and Colorado. So we can actually dive deeper on some of these. Let's go over to the consensus page. This is something that I wrote about today on the website. If you go to the articles tab, you can see that there. It's about mixed data. It's an important piece, actually. We'll let this load. Let's see if I have. Okay, it's here. So here's an important thing. So there's a lot of games. I don't know exactly how many there are. 15 games today. So we filtered out a few of them. So let's go. By the way, Otterline AI yesterday was the only AI. There was 3 games to do 100%. The other one said 2 for 3, 2 for 3, and 1 for 3. So the Otterline AI has been on a tear. This month, it's the top performing signal, and the last 7 days, that's 60%. So it's been doing really well. But anyway, here's Winnipeg versus Tampa Bay. So our win rate on this is 55%. The market's saying Tampa Bay has a 66% chance. Noise. We're canceling that out. We're not making that bet, right? And interesting thing that we've added is we're now looking at, so there's 3 models agree and 1 disagrees. So we're going to track what happens when that 1 model disagrees. So when MP disagrees here, you would be better off following the other team, the model that disagreed. So MP disagrees. When MP has disagreed, it has gone 12-7. So MP has done really well when it's disagreed with the consensus. So to me, we're saying Winnipeg. We're saying Tampa Bay. So our pick is Tampa Bay. MP says Winnipeg. And MP has done well when he said that against us. So that's noisy. That's like, okay, let's take this card out of here. So this data doesn't reflect in the consensus. So when you look at our record, like if this is going to be like, let's just say Winnipeg wins this, that's going to be an L on our model record. This is an L. But in fact, in some ways, it's a win because we told you it's noisy. Like you can make the bet. Here's the data. But we're saying it's noisy. Conflicting filters. Let's not do this one. And that's why our featured picks win rate is much higher than the consensus, because we're filtering out the noisy picks. Let's see if there's any other kind of signals here. So this one is saying This is St. Louis versus Florida Panthers. And 3 models have picked Florida, while the Otterline has picked St. Louis. When that has happened, it's gone 7-5 for our pick. So the Otterline has done a really bad job at fading the model. So this is actually a good signal. Like if you wanted to bet this game, like we're saying Florida, him saying St. Louis is actually bullish for our pick. So that's kind of just an extra data point to make. So that's something that you like to see. Now Florida's market price is 60% and our win rate on this is 60%. So there's no juice there. So we filter that out anyway. But if you're not using my strategy, like that juice strategy, that's good info to know. So there's some banter for you. Some interesting data about how it works, I guess you could say. So we're studying all these. So like 2 of these models are proprietary and they work very differently. The other 2 are accessible, but we're studying the relationships between all 4 of them and how they all blend together. And that creates all these model combinations, win rates, and our overall consensus record. But the consensus record is good, 54%, but it doesn't really tell the whole story, right? It doesn't tell the whole story. And I suspect this will increase now that we removed one of the filters that was models, that was not doing very well. Dunkel was the worst performer, dragged the whole thing down. And with that gone, we should see a positive increase. So jumping to today's NHL picks, what do we got? So we have Colorado, Montreal. We're going Colorado for 1 unit. Let me go. So that modal is wrong. So we have, here it is here. So Colorado, Montreal, 77 game sample size, 66% win rate. And the market's given Colorado 56%. So we're going ahead making that pick. And who else we got? Detroit. So we got Colorado versus Montreal. We got Colorado. Washington, Detroit. We got Detroit. Dallas, Vegas. We got Vegas. Buffalo, Kings. We got Buffalo. So those are the four NHL picks today. Colorado, Detroit, Vegas, and Buffalo. That's who we're riding with. Please make this happen. And moving on to the NBA. So NBA, I think there's just 3. So there's 3 NBA picks, and they do come from our verified value. So NBA consensus overall is 55 wins, 30 losses. Our newly added verified value, which is basically just the verified juice, same as NHL, but basketball, is 8-2. It's done quite well. CBS and Chatty Ball, when they've agreed, it's only been 4 games, but they're 4-0. So you like to see that. So that is Miami. So their pick tonight is Miami. The odds are 51, and our juice is 16%. Then we have all 3 models agreeing on Washington tonight, which is crazy because that's an underdog, boy. That's a spicy underdog. Washington tonight, 45% odds. That's a 26% edge. We're taking that. And then Minnesota, that's very, very spicy. Yeah, 33% odds. Whew. So 2 of the 3 tonight are spicy underdogs. So we got Washington, Miami, and Minnesota. Those are the 3 NBA picks that we have, that I'm personally taking. We have all the games, however, on the otterline.club/NBA/consensus. You can see each and every game and then the verified value. So you can go ahead and bet them all or a few. And if you click into the game, it'll give you some data on that. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. This is a little bit different episode. Kind of went on a bit of a rant. But yeah, so those are our picks. I hope we have another good night. Last night was incredible. We swept the night. So let's hope we do.